Well, so the election is getting very close in the United States, and today I'm having a chat with an American who is also half Norwegian, actually. I will introduce him. His name is Perran Davis. He's a guitar player, a music instructor, and a producer. And he is also my cousin because his mother was the sister of my mother. So I would say thank you to Perran for coming here, and very good to see you again.
It's good to see you. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
And it's very interesting because you live in Pennsylvania, and we have this feeling here. I don't know what you think, but we think that the one who wins Pennsylvania will win the election. What do you think about that?
That's pretty consistent with what's going on. The media wants to claim that it's a tight race, but that's propaganda. But if you set that aside, it's pretty accepted that whoever wins Pennsylvania will most likely get enough electoral votes to win the election.
Yeah. Okay. So we agree on that. And Pennsylvania is interesting because it was one of the first states, the first 13 states of USA, and it was actually it's named after this guy called William Penn, who ran away for religious reasons. He was a Quaker, if that's the right way to call it. And it's sort of crushed in between New York and Washington. And yeah, the most you live near to Philadelphia, you told me earlier.
Yeah, just outside of Northeast Philadelphia in the suburbs. I live in Montgomery County.
Yeah. Okay. So you, as a musician, you are sort of a cultural person, and then everybody thinks you're probably going to vote for the Democrat Party. But what are your decisions? Who are you going to support in this election?
No, I am going against the grain of a lot of entertainment professionals. I am a Republican. I'm a conservative. I don't claim allegiance to any party. I consider myself a loyal American, but the Democratic Party has left so many of us behind with their far left radical stance on so many of the issues like the open borders, the soft on crime, uh, the out of control spending. And so we're voting for the candidate that we feel is going to uh, take care of America's interests first, and more importantly, bring stability to the world and uh, calm down all of this violence and all of this death and war that's been going on.
Yeah, I have noted four things on my list here for important things, which it's just what I think about the election. Okay, immigration is very important. The economy is very important for Americans. It's like Clinton said it. It's the economy, stupid, and that was a famous thing. And you have all these wars going on, like in the Middle East and in Ukraine. And then, of course, it's the climate ideology and all the money that is just going down the drain. What is the most important thing for you in this election?
I can't say there's one issue that sticks out more than the other. There's going to be a couple that are equally important. And first thing I want to talk about is the open borders. This administration has let in over 20 million illegal aliens. They want to call them undocumented immigrants, but they're not immigrants. If they were immigrants, they would want to come here the right way. They would want to follow our laws, and they would want to show respect to our process. Um, we have so many crimes that are being committed, uh, murders, rapes, violent thefts, and things. And an interesting statistic, I don't know if you guys are aware of, but under this administration, there have been over 13,000 convicted murderers who have been let in illegally, over 15,000 convicted rapists, and over 425,000 convicted criminals. that have just been allowed to cross the border. Many of these people have been committing crimes and then being released back in the public to commit crimes again, and it's causing a lot of problems here. It's affected our crime rates. It's affected us economically. There have been billions and billions and billions of dollars spent on these people, and we're not taking care of our own people. We have victims of the 2 hurricanes in the past month, and the government is not taking care of these people. We have single mothers the government is not taking care of, and then most important to me are our veterans. The way that this government is taking care of our veterans is laughable. The suicide rate is just out of control with these guys because many of them have situations that they can't take care of themselves, and they don't have people to help take care of them for them. So they're committing suicide at an insane rate. Another issue that is, I would have to say, equally as important to most of Americans, not just myself, is the economic status. This administration has gone on a spending spree unlike no other. Just in the past 3 weeks, we're approaching almost $1 trillion in spending, and this is unsustainable. I don't even know what our debt is. It's got to be north of $35 trillion at this point. I know that the interest payments on this is greater than the budget for the entire military. That's insane. And there's not any accountability behind a lot of this money that is being spent. We don't know where it's going, and you ask these people where it's going, and they can't tell you. And then you have an insane amount of money that's being spent in the war machine to propagate wars that in some ways they're senseless because they don't have to keep going on. Putin doesn't have to be allowed to keep killing Ukrainians. This could have stopped a long time ago. So those would be the 2 biggest issues for most Americans: be the economics and the immigration, which is tied to crime.
Yeah, and the thing you say about the veterans, it's horrible. All the numbers you mentioned, we have written about those numbers, and you didn't mention this, but also there are tens of thousands of young kids getting into USA as sex slaves. So it's really horrible what is happening.
Yeah,
And
I'd
they're
like
just
to I'd like to
sold.
comment on that. The last count that we got, and we have no way to be precise. These are underestimates, but there's over 350,000 children that are missing. Many of those are going to be in the sex trade. Uh, we don't know what's happening to a lot of them, but there's no accountability to them. They're being brought here, and no one is taking care of them. No one is watching them. So when you give bad people a long leash, bad things are going to happen. And I mean, these are literal crimes against humanity. It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just want to say this about the veterans. You know, of course, that both me and my father served in the Norwegian army. We were not in wars. We were just, well, my father was almost in a war because it was the Cold War and he was flying this crazy starfighter against Russian pilots every day. But for me, it was just learning to defend our country. And these veterans, they actually gave it all to their to protect their country, and they get no respect. It's just hilarious. It's not funny. It's just tragic.
It is beyond tragic. You're giving citizens that don't belong here, that have crossed the border illegally, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars a month, and yet you're giving our veterans less than $1,500 a month, which is that's probably a fourth of what it would take for them just to have a minimum standard of living. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And I know that our country is not the only country that has immigration problems and problems, related to
Oh,
this.
it's whole the whole Europe is in the same shit.
Right. UK,
Norway
Ireland.
has, yeah, Norway has more immigrants than the United States if you compare it to per capita. But of course, we have this oil fund, so they can use all this money to give to these people. But we have the same problems. It's crime, it's rape, it's knifing every day. I mean, every day somebody is knifed down in Oslo. It's almost every day. and there's killings exploding, and well, we haven't really had this terror attacks, not the big one, except for the one that was Norwegian with in 2011 on the Utøya. But we haven't had this. But in Britain is collapsing right now. It's totally crisis.
Yeah, it's really a shame. And when you take a look at the methodology behind this nonsense, it's very clear to anyone that's done the research that this is a coordinated effort. These things aren't happening by accident. And if you take a look at the playbook of the Marxists, the socialists, and the communists, this is one of the methods that they use to disrupt society so that they can gain control. And the saddest part about it is that the mainstream media is complicit in it. They're not only ignoring it, they're enabling it, and they're trying to act like it's a good and virtuous thing when in fact it's exactly the opposite. America was built on immigration. We're all immigrants. No one can say that fundamentally that their roots are American. We're all. I'm half Norwegian. A lot of us came from Europe or from the UK or whatever. So Americans love the idea of immigration, but what we detest are people that disregard the law. The first thing they do is disregard the law when they come across the border. When that's the way that they're brought into the country, why would anyone think that they would honor the law after that? Right. And so they typically don't. And the media wants to say that these are refugees and they're seeking asylum. And you don't have over 20 million people that are seeking asylum. I mean, this is insane. The media admits to about 11 million. But when you start taking a look at independent data, city to city, state to state, it's north of 20 million. There's some people that believe it's over 25 million just in the past 3 years and 10 months under this administration. There's been more people let into this country illegally in 3 years and 10 months than you can go back 20 years behind that. And I see the same thing happening. When you get on X, you can see activity that's going on in Ireland and Australia. I'm sorry, not Australia, England, all over Europe. And something that's interesting is before this started becoming a problem that a lot of people were aware of, before my mother died, when we talked in 2016, she was telling me, she lived in Sweden, and she was telling me what a problem it was in Sweden then, that they were just being overrun. And so you've got the Netherlands and Scandinavia and Europe and the UK. They've got a big head start on what's going on here. I don't know what the numbers are, but you can. There's so many of them here now. You run into them no matter where you go. So you can go to the isolated parts of the Midwest, or you can go to the big cities, and they're all over the place. And it's they're taking advantage of people. They're hurting people. And to your point, they're raping people, they're killing people, and the media is not only ignoring it, but they're complicit in it. They're pushing for it. And it's just insanity. I don't see how anyone with reasonable intelligence could think this is a good thing.
Yeah, and you were on a Trump rally a couple of days ago. Is that correct, in Pennsylvania,
I
Allentown or
was,
something?
yes, Allentown,
Oh,
Pennsylvania, which is about it's about an hour west of here.
yeah, but how was the experience? What do you think after being there?
It's absolutely amazing. Trump was in Madison Square Garden lately, and the American press wanted to act like that he was reenacting a rally that the Nazis had put there 50 or 60 years ago, when it's exactly the opposite. I made a post and I said, anyone that characterizes this event as anything but patriotic is just lying to you. The opening of it was a prayer. It was a prayer based on Christian beliefs. And then you had a wonderful group of young ladies that sang the Star Spangled Banner. The whole crowd, there was 11,000 plus there, plus however many thousands outside that couldn't get in, sang along with it. And then immediately following the national anthem, a spontaneous chants of USA, USA, USA broke out. And the theme of the whole event was that we love our country and we want to take care of our country. And then there was a step-by-step plan on how we're going to take care of our country. What are we going to do about the illegal alien invasion? Well, on day one, they're going to start rounding up the known criminals, these 13,000 murderers, the 15,000 rapists, and over 425,000 convicted criminals. As we can find those are the first to go. And then in stages, as we can locate others, they're also going to be going. And then he addressed economics. The first thing that this administration did when they got into office in 2021 was they wrote over 20 executive orders the first week, destroying the energy situation in this country. And anyone that has any kind of common sense realizes that when you drive the price of energy up, you're driving the price of everything up. And the economy of the United States affects everyone all across the world. So everyone should have a vested interest in this. And if you take a look at the data, you can see there was an immediate reaction. It didn't take 3 months for inflation to just start ramping up out of control and for the prices to rise. So that's another thing that was addressed on how we're going to take care of this, how we're going to take care of the American people. And if you listen to the mainstream media, they want to act like it's a fascist rally, which is absolutely, it's ludicrous, it's insane, it's absolutely disrespectful. It disrespects the men and women that gave their lives in World War II, disrespects the however many millions of Jewish people that were murdered by these psychopaths. And you want to take a politician because they don't agree with the hard left progressive agenda, and you want to label those as Nazis. It's not intelligent. It's not moral. It's not ethical. It's just insane to watch how far the mainstream media wants to push their hatred for this guy. And look, I was never a big Trump fan. I think he's a rich jerk. Okay. But he loves this country. And the reason that the media is going after him is because he's not a career politician. He's not part of the swamp. He's not part of the deep state. He's not part of the military industrial complex. He's not part of the big pharmaceutical industries or the big food industries. He's an independent businessman that understands basic economics and understands the importance of having rules and regulations and things like that. And the whole atmosphere at the rally was accepting. It was inclusive. You saw people of all kind of ethnic backgrounds. You had a lot of Hispanics. You had a lot of African Americans. You had a lot of Indian Americans. And the thing that was surprising to a lot of us was how many Asians were represented there. You had groups that were trying to point out the similarities of what the hard left agenda is to communism in China. You had North Koreans that had a presence there. And everyone was together and everyone was agreeing that we've got to stop this insanity and we've got to bring some order and some stability back to this country. Because if this country falls, the whole world falls. And we understand that. America used to be respected. It used to be a source of stability. And now, thanks to these, they're very smart people, but they're psychopaths. They're absolutely insane, but they're very smart and they know exactly what they're doing. And it's just a shame that so many people are blinded by the propaganda that the media is cramming down their throat.
Yeah. As you know, I work for a Christian conservative media house, Document Media in Norway, and I can tell you from the whole editorial part that those of us who are religious is actually praying for you and hoping for the right results in this election, and we know that it matters a lot for us too.
We thank you for your prayers. And the thing that the media wants to talk about is they want to act like this is a close race, and nothing could be further from the truth. I've been sifting through independent data for 6 months. And if you take a look at the polls that are not attached to the mainstream media and to the big companies, it's out of control. It's at least a 70-30 split. When you go to the store, all you hear people talk about is how painful it is to buy groceries. My grocery bill has more than doubled. To put fuel in my truck has more than doubled. And it's the same experience for everyone. You have longtime members of the Democratic Party that have left that party. and have joined this movement. Some of the famous ones that you guys are aware of are Robert Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard and Vivek Ramaswamy. His background, he used to be a Democrat. And it's not so much that they left the Democratic Party, it's that the Democratic Party left them. And it doesn't matter where you go. You can go to the West Coast, to the East Coast, to the North, to the South, to the Midwest, and people are tired. They're angry, they're tired, they're frustrated. And we have a hope that God saved Trump so that he could be brought back into office and try to start turning some of this stuff around. And it's going to take a coordinated effort. We'll have to win the Senate. We'll have to win the Congress. And the local elections are going to have to change because one man can only do so much. But the American people as a whole, they're not agreeing with what's happening. They don't support the endless amount of money that's being pumped into the Ukraine war. You've got whole complete generations of Ukrainian young men that have been wiped out. You've got a lot of Russian citizens that are being wiped out, and they're not wanting to participate in this. Putin is not a nice guy. He's forcing this issue on people. And then all of this unrest that's in the Middle East, the ones who are behind it is the military industrial complex. They're the ones that want it because they want the money associated with it. But the American people, they don't want this. You can go to any type of civic activity. You can go to the pubs, and all you hear about is people talking about they want change. They don't want this. So I thank you for the opportunity to share my opinion. It was good seeing you guys. I hope that I get to come across soon. And thank you for your prayers. We really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you a lot, Perran, and good luck on Tuesday, as I said.